Welcome to All Things Moore County, Moore County's weekly radio show highlighting the many facets of the Sandhills. That includes real estate, lifestyle, community and neighborhoods. And now from 4 Properties, here's your host, Bill Sahadi.
Good morning and welcome to the talk show, All Things Moore County. Dorothy, as consistent as we've been in the last couple of weeks, we're going to continue to, we have so many events to talk about, upcoming events, and each week we're going to try also to feature a new business in town.
Sounds good.
Because there are just so many people moving here, and it's amazing. People will always say, oh, I heard about that one business or this business. People do listen and they take notes.
Yes, they do.
Last week we had Vision for More on, and they just completed their event at the Fair Barn, which was the jazz concert.
Yes.
And I understand they had sold 350 tickets.
Nice.
And the Fair Barn is such a great magnet that we're going to pivot a little bit this week, and we're going to talk about another event that will be coming up at the Fair Barn on Friday and Saturday, September the 27th and 28th, from 10 to 5, and we're talking about a show being put on by the SANDHILLS Quilters Guild, which I understand they do every other year.
Interesting.
Yeah, and we're being joined today by Christine Weld, who is the co-chair of the SANDHILLS Quilters Guild, and Beth Van Vooren, who is the publicity chair. Beth and I were talking before the show. I lived in Pennsylvania for years after college, very close to Amish country. And I used to travel the state of Pennsylvania in my first life, and was always amazed at the beautiful quilts that we saw in Amish country, in and around Lancaster, Reading, and what have you. And I've always associated quilts with keepsakes, that they're vintage gifts or they commemorate one thing or another. But the SANDHILLS Quilters Guild, you're doing the show. Tell me just a little bit about what's going on those 2 days, because it's from 10 a.m. to 5 both days, and we'll get into some of the business of what the Quilters Guild does.
I'm so glad you mentioned your Amish quilt memories.
Yeah.
I think anybody who's coming to the quilt show probably has a memory.
Right.
Either it was your grandmother or your aunt.
Right.
And the events were, because of the time involved in making a quilt, they were special.
Yep.
And many, many hours. I know my own grandmother used to have the quilt frame in the living room, and her friends would come and help her quilt.
Right.
And likewise, she would go help other people. But yes, quilting is somewhat of it can be a utilitarian hobby in that we make scrap quilts.
Right.
And the Amish are like that as well. They make them to keep you warm.
Right.
Now down here we don't have to
worry about that.
Stay too warm, right? But quilting has really expanded beyond the utilitarian to the beauty.
Yes.
And it truly has become an art form. You are a fiber artist in choosing colors, the patterns. There's a great variety now as opposed to, 50 years ago or even 100 years ago. So it is the interest in quilting that brings people to our quilt show. Our show is called Quilting in the PINES. It's held every other year, as you mentioned, and because we're a smaller group down here, there's about 140 of us.
That's a lot.
It is, yes.
That's a lot.
But it's the entire Sandhills too. So
It's still a lot. Do you guys, so as quilters, do you consider yourself where you fly under the radar? Because it's not something that people don't go to a department store and say, oh, I'm going to go buy a quilt. They'll buy a comforter or a
Right.
blanket.
Right.
So quilting is more of an art?
It is an art form. I mean, you can put it right there with fine art painting skills or oils or
Right.
just because of the variety of choices we have in making a quilt now. It's not just your primary colors or black or white. I mean, there's, prints and plaids and stripes. So yes, I would put it right up there with an art form. Equally, because of the time involved in creating a quilt, there's just lots of factors involved.
Sure.
So our quilt show is to show off the talent, the artistic talent of those here in the Sandhills.
Right.
Most of the quilts are done locally. You'll see a small quilt, something called a wall hanging, all the way up to king size quilts. And trust me, I made a king size quilt last year, and it took a lot of time.
So when it's a wall hanging,
Yes.
is that also referred to as like a prayer rug? Or
No,
are they
this
bigger?
This would hang on the wall, and it would be, for instance, I made one for my son-in-law
Yeah.
who loves to sail.
Okay.
So it was from a picture I had taken of him sailing, and took it back and cut the pieces apart in different colors and shading, and it was like I was painting with the quilting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
So admission is $8.
very reasonable.
Very
Yes.
reasonable.
Yes.
And
It's $8
Chris-
for adults, but we also have made the show free for children 18 and under. So if families want to come, that is just an adult price, and children are free.
wow, children 18.
18.
Do they call 17-year-olds children?
17-year-olds are children in our book.
Oh boy. Christine, you're the co-chair, and there's a lot of history that we're going to talk about as well with the Quilters Guild. But from what I understand, admission is $8. It's an all-day. You can be there all day. There will be vendors, boutique, raffle baskets, a silent auction, and food trucks.
Right.
Are the quilts that you're going to be displaying, are they going to be for sale?
No.
No. Okay.
These were judged. So the purpose of
Okay.
bringing it to the quilt show is, and it's really beneficial to have a quilt judged.
Okay.
You find out some of your flaws. You find out from an impartial third person who
Right.
it really benefits you as a quilter.
Right.
To find out the mistakes you're making. Right.
Right. Some of the patterns are so intricate, and my guess is that from my memories of my grandmother quilting to today, the machinery and the technology has made quilting different. I mean, there are more things that people have at their disposal that can help them. Is that accurate? Or is it still?
Some people would say we cheat now, Bill, because we have
Okay.
electric sewing machines.
Right.
We have long arm machines. It's not because you have long arms, but these are long machines that quilt
Right.
with the pattern from a choice from your computer. So yes, this is a computerized function at part. We have rotary cutters now as opposed to scissors.
Right.
How my grandmother did that, I
Right.
have no idea.
Right.
Hers were hand pieced and hand quilted.
Right.
I'd have to clone myself to do that now.
The patience involved in quilting has to be astronomical. Christine, tell me about your relationship with the Quilters Guild. How did you get involved?
So I am a fairly new resident to Moore County.
Okay.
I'm actually an Army wife. My husband is active duty,
Okay.
stationed at Fort Liberty. And when we move around, I usually look for a quilt guild to join as a way to get active in the community. So we moved here just over 2 years ago, and participating in the last quilt show that we held in 2022 was really how I got to know a lot of people in the guild.
At your age, will some people say that you have to, quilting is not a lost art, but you have to keep it alive?
Yes.
Because I don't associate quilting with young mothers.
So
Is it
you might-
something from your family, your mother, your grandmother?
My mother is an extremely talented seamstress.
Okay.
She does not quilt, however. She's more of a garment sewer, upholsterer, but quilting was not something that she passed on to me. She did
Okay.
pass sewing skills. So that part of the process was familiar to me. But I picked up quilting in my early 20s. But you probably will be surprised to know that quilting is a multi-billion-dollar industry in our country. That's billion with a B. And
You're right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And the Modern Quilt Guild, which did just hold their annual show in Raleigh, is quite popular among younger quilters. And that does have a more modern aesthetic. So it maybe is not a huge movement among young people, but it is growing in popularity.
Wow.
And there is a bit of a groundswell around quilting.
Quilting always, to me, and I'm a layman, so I'll just say this, and I can't embarrass myself, I do. I see a quilt and I think of old world values. I think of a time gone by where there's something that's preserved and is part of history. That's been my association with quilt when I see beautiful quilts. But I've seen recently some quilts that have been done. I think I showed you a picture of one that was done based on an interest that I had. I thought it was amazing. Nobody can even fathom how much time they take to make.
Right. I was really lucky. During COVID, my grandchildren lived with me, some of them. And I taught my grandson, who was, well, he was about 11 or 12 during COVID, how to quilt.
Oh, boy.
Because, as you said, you're thinking it's an old world art.
Right.
I want to promote this. He thought it was cool because he got to use a machine. You know,
Right.
It was the engineer in him. And he liked the colors, but he really liked running a machine. He liked to have a machine that was just his. So he had lots of time during COVID. And so that's what he did. So he made 2 quilts. He finished a third one as COVID was ending. So that's what the Quilters Guild is also interested in education and in promoting the art of quilting. And by having children come free to our show, we're hoping somebody says, hey, can I have a sewing machine and some fabric? And just let their creativity have a go.
Yeah.
Right.
This you celebrated your 40th anniversary in 2022.
Yes.
The Guild has been together since 1982.
Yes.
Do you show at Autumn Fest? Do you show at different events besides the exhibit that you're going to be doing on the 27th and 28th of September?
We are pretty active in the community. So we do Autumn Fest. Last year we had a show at the Campbell House that a few members
Beautiful.
put more
Yeah.
artistic type quilts in.
Yeah.
So we are pretty active in different community events.
Okay.
And like Beth was saying too, education is a huge part of why we exist as a guild. And when we were planning this show and we were first talking about what we wanted our main goal to be, education was really our driving force. It's obviously a fundraiser for a guild, but we really felt that education was our main goal in this show. So as part of that, we want to have a guild corner at this show where we want to share the art of quilting with the people who attend the show, show them and give them a little hands-on experience there.
Okay. You even have an annual retreat in Ashboro?
Yes.
Tell me about that.
So each year we invite our members to gather together for 3 days. So an overnight trip. Also, if people want to come as day trippers, they're
Yeah.
welcome to do so.
Yeah.
And it's just a chance to get away, work on projects that maybe you don't have an uninterrupted stretch of time to do so in your day-to-day life. It's a great chance for just fellowship together, community.
Right.
So we go up to Camp Caraway.
Yeah.
And, there's some fun activities together for the group, but really just a great chance to get to know people one-on-one a little better, and really spend time with your fellow quilters, learn from one another, and really just enjoy one another's time.
You speak like an old soul.
I've been told that before.
Right?
Yes.
You do. You speak like an old soul. So membership in the Guild is open to anybody who has an interest in quilting.
Yep.
And you provide them with an opportunity to, I guess, socially network, learn more about the craft, because as you're with people of a like and similar vein, you can help coach each other.
Yep. We welcome anyone in the area who has an interest in quilting.
Yeah.
People are welcome to attend 2 meetings without becoming an official member.
Yeah.
Our dues are $50 for the year, but if you'd like to check us out, see what we're all about before becoming an official member,
Yeah.
you are very welcome to do that. Our meetings are held usually in Southern Pines on Tuesday mornings, but we also occasionally meet in Whispering Pines on Saturdays to give people who are working a chance to attend our meetings.
There, you've got a very good website, by
thank
the
you.
way.
Thank
It's
you.
SANDHILLSquilters.org, and we're going to come back in the second set, and I want to talk a little bit about the business of what you do and the charities that you support, and what is behind the show on the ground, so to speak. We're speaking with Christine and we're speaking with Beth about the Sandhills Quilters Guild. They're presenting a show, Quilting in the Pines, September the 27th and the 28th, which is a Friday, Saturday from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. at the Fair Barn. This is All Things Moore County. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the second set of All Things Moore County. We're talking the first part of the show with the Sandhills Quilters Guild, which is presenting Quilting in the Pines on September the 27th and 28th on a Friday, Saturday from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Admission is $8 at the Fair Barn. There'll be food trucks, a silent auction, raffle baskets, and the Fair Barn sounds like a great location. Kids are free, up to 18, which is, my parents told me I was a kid at 18, I would threaten them, but see, I'm an adult. Beyond the art of quilting and beyond the education and the networking that you provide, there's a lot of important work that you do behind the scenes with the Quilters Guild. Christine, if you want to talk about that.
Of course. We feel it's very important to give back to the community.
Right.
We request each member donate at least 1 quilt a year to charities throughout Moore County. Some of the groups that we commonly support include local nursing homes, Falcon Children's Home, local hospice. We also donate to Habitat for Humanity. We were actually just talking about that at this morning's meeting, about how new homeowners at their dedication ceremony are able to pick out a new quilt for their home.
Right.
We donate pillowcases to Falcon Children's Home as well. Comfort quilts are given to members who are facing some kind of a hardship in their lives, maybe a cancer diagnosis, loss of a loved one. So the latest numbers this year, we have given 240 quilts out this year to all of these various endeavors, as well as 90 pillowcases. So being that we have about 140 members, that's more than 1 quilt per member, which I think is pretty impressive for a group of our size.
Do you sit down ahead of time and identify the organizations that you want to support?
A lot of our members do outside work with these organizations. We have one member who's very active with hospice, for instance. So I think a lot of our members kind of network themselves and bring these organizations to our attention. We very often get lovely thank you notes from these groups.
I'm sure you do.
Show us appreciation. So we have pre-existing relationships with a lot of them.
If I could speak to the
Beth?
children's home,
Sure.
a lot of times if a child is in foster care or comes to the home, they have very little that solely belongs to them. So if you're saying, well, gee, why do you make pillowcases? The pillowcase is what they take their belongings in. And that pillowcase becomes very, very special to them in that it holds all that belongs to them, because they certainly don't have much when they move. So lastly, we also are involved with Quilts of Valor. Christine can speak to that.
So Quilts of Valor is actually a national organization that many quilters are very familiar with. And Quilts of Valor present quilts to veterans of all ages. Many of our members participate in a group that meets at the Senior Center that sew quilts for Quilts of Valor.
Yeah.
and they will identify a veteran who is deserving in some fashion for this quilt and have a presentation for that veteran. And I think every presentation that I've been to for this, I will cry in some form, because they're just that moving and that special every time. At our show, every year we will have a display of Quilts of Valor. They're usually in the balcony of the Fair Barn.
Right.
They're always done in red, whites, and blues, and together they just make a striking display. So when you walk into the Fair Barn, when you come to our show, you'll see these displayed together, and they are just lovely quilts. The people who work on these put in so much effort to make these special for the veterans, to show how appreciated and honored they are. A lot of the people in our guild really put a lot of effort and work into these quilts, because they really want to show the veterans in our community how appreciated they are. So that is another important charity work that many of our members support and put a lot of time and work into.
The what we were talking about earlier about quilts being keepsakes, you've just referenced 2 or 3 different repositories for the quilts. You know, Quilts of Valor, Habitat, as keepsakes. So that's good to know. What's the age group, the age range of the members of the Quilters Guild?
I would say the majority of our quilters are retired members.
Okay.
Many people get into the hobby when they find they have a little more time in their life. I am in my 40s, and I'm probably among one of the younger members, but I do have a peer group in our guild, and sometimes people will bring their children. So we do have a few younger members, and we would like to welcome any junior members. They are welcome to join our guild without any membership fee. So if we have any young people listening who are interested, they are welcome to join without that $50 membership fee, and we would highly encourage them to come and check us out.
Do you have daughters?
I have 2 young girls, 14 and 17.
Have you tutored them? Have you coached them in quilting? And what is their response?
I have welcomed them into my sewing room and encouraged them, but they are very gifted athletes and prefer to spend their time on their various fields than in my sewing room.
Right. In a lot of ways, quilting is the antithesis for kids of video games, where they're using their hands, their imagination, their thinking, they're creating. They're not being spoon-fed visuals all the time, because I think that sometimes is a preventative to real learning.
I know my grandchildren
Yes.
just love it when they even get to help with a quilt.
Right.
You know, if I'm making a charity quilt, they want to know, well, who does it go to? And I'll say, I don't know, but this is something you can help me do.
Right.
And the grandson who learned to quilt is so proud of his quilts. The child will never be cold. His quilts are on his bed nearly year-round in Raleigh. So... yeah, they take great pride in them when they're completed, and
Yep.
you know, as they should. They were a learning experience.
And the funds that you raise at this event, because
Right.
you're a nonprofit
Yes.
organization, so that just goes back to the guild for education, the
Right.
retreats, things that you mentioned.
So the retreat is self-supporting. We pay for that ourselves. The funds that we raise go into the various the comfort quilts that go to the various organizations. They obviously cost money for the fabric and the batting.
Right.
Quilts are far more expensive to make than a person would expect. It also goes into education is a big part of what we do. So we will often bring in national speakers for our guild. So that will be a part of our education component, and they will do classes for us and lectures to the guild.
Absolutely. Quilts are not cheap, and we greatly appreciate the help that's provided to us when
Yeah.
we are making these comfort quilts. Some of them are rather large, and it helps us to help others.
And the website is pretty intuitive. I mean, if people want to get in touch with you, they can access the website, they can contact you
Right.
if they want to join. But this event seems like it's a great coming out. to introduce, because it's every other year.
Right. And we're proud to show these quilts
I
off.
bet you are.
You know, if you've worked and worked,
Yeah.
and maybe torn out parts of it when you were sewing because you made a few mistakes, and we're proud to show our other Moore County residents what we're doing here as quilters. We're not off in a little room all by ourselves, but proudly showing those and showing the art of quilting is still alive.
The event is next week. It's Friday, September the 27th, and Saturday, September the 28th, from 10 to 5. Admission is $8 at the Fair Barn. There'll be plenty of food trucks, a silent auction, raffle baskets. Be a great time to, and also with the autumn season, it's a great time to get out and come in and look and see what is going on with the Sandhills Quilters Guild. So I wish you guys the very best of luck.
Thank you so much.
I hope
Bill.
you have a really great turnout, and I appreciate you guys coming on and talking to us. And my takeaway from this is the quilts are keepsakes, and they're always special, and there's always a meaning behind them, and they
Right.
make great gifts.
Great.
And dedications. Thank you, Christine, and thank you, Beth. Appreciate having you
Thank
on.
you so
Thank you.
much.
We'll be back in the third set. This is All Things Moore County. Welcome back to our third set of All Things Moore County. Dorothy, we're switching gears this set. We're going to try during the course of the fall and the holiday season to feature some new businesses as well who have come to Moore County that we find value in. And we are talking this last set with Doug and Sandy Ring. The name of their company is HUSBANDS2GO. You like that name and you like that logo, didn't you?
I did. I love it. I think it's great.
They offer premier handyman and general contracting services, and I've had the fortune of working with them and meeting with them at one particular home, and I was very impressed by the scope of the type of services that they do. Doug, it was fortuitous that you came into my office and we got a chance to meet, and equally fortuitous that we got a chance to work on a situation this morning at a house. What made you, you're not from Moore County, you moved here from Arizona?
Yes, sir. We moved from Arizona on kind of a wing and a prayer. Our kids are out in Florida and Virginia, and we got some family members out in Southern Pines.
Okay, so you picked Moore County based on family, and what's your impression so far?
Oh, we love it.
Do you?
Yeah, it's kind of like living in the mountains.
Sandy, it's like moving across the country. It's sort of like starting another chapter in your lives.
Absolutely, yes. It's we took a leap of faith coming out here, and we love it. It's to new beginnings. We're starting new out here.
How long have you been here now?
3 weeks today.
Is that right?
Yes.
Well, we one of the things that we're always in our business, in the real estate business, that we're always looking for are contractors that have a wide scope of services that they offer, show up on time, are accountable, and your skill set is it's extensive. If you want to go through some of the things, I mean, what we did this morning, I know, is not just limited to what we talked about, but you do a lot of other things as well.
Yes, sir. Yep. So we do small jobs, anything from bathroom faucets, kitchen faucets, a lot of door jamb repairs.
Yeah.
Save people money on that rather than replace a door.
Right.
We do small electrical jobs. We do
Pressure washing,
Pressure wa-
landscaping.
Yes, sir. We do pressure washing, landscaping. We have a 14-yard dump trailer for hauling garbage. You know, we do garbage removal, trees.
You do trees?
We trim trees and bushes.
You trim trees, but not remove them.
We remove all of them. We actually have a trailer, so we do the junk removal, debris removal. We do. We also deliver furniture or like any kind of landscaping material, anything that's needed. If needed, they can reach out to us, and we can actually bring that to them. Or
Okay.
any furniture, if they need a new furniture put in their home, we can do that as well.
The most attractive thing about working with you was finding out how willing you were to do a multitude of things that are not related, but it's sort of like providing services under one umbrella, which a lot of people really, really like because they don't want to be stuck having to call 3 people to do
Right.
3 different jobs.
And we've heard that a lot. People, like a bathroom model, a lot of
Yeah.
times people, the contractor's subbing out the tile, subbing out the electrical, subbing out the plumbing, subbing out the painting. We do everything. We do the whole, the plumbing, the new valves, the tile work, custom showers, custom shower pans.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
And you do your own tile work?
We do.
As far as construction goes, in terms of building, do you do cabinetry? Do you do, how extensive is your contractor services?
So we've installed, entire kitchens. We've built cabinets. I wouldn't consider myself a cabinet builder. We can.
Okay. Okay.
Don't really have a shop to do that in,
Okay.
but we do quite a bit of, you can go to our website
Yeah.
at HUSBANDS2GO.com, 2go.com.
Right. One of the cool things about living in Moore County, and you probably have sensed this already, is that it's an intimate community. You get to meet people. It's one-on-one. There's no anonymity. And if you do all the right things and with the right people, word of mouth will spread very quickly. It's not like a big urban area.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we are. We're on Nextdoor too. Like we've got ads on Nextdoor as well. So we've already posted everything on there, and we've met our neighbors. We love this area. The weather's amazing. You
Yeah.
know, we obviously miss our sun. It's not as sunny as out there, obviously, but yeah.
So tell me the age of your children.
So we have our daughter is 28. Our sons, so we have 2 sons, 27, and then our youngest is 21.
And one is in Florida and 2 are in Virginia?
So one's with us right now in Pinehurst, and then we've got one in Florida.
Okay.
Our boys in Florida, and then our daughter's in Virginia.
Okay. Doing the show for 15 years and living in Moore County for 25 years, I always say this, and I believe it more and more every year. 2 years in Moore County is a lifetime in terms of building up a network of people that you can work with, where you can build a business very quickly if you make the right connections. And I keep going back to that. There's no anonymity here. People get to know you. On the way over here, I called one of my top brokers, and I was kind of bragging on you. And I know her, and I know that she's wired just like you are, and she'll be calling you because we have, whether we're representing sellers or buyers, we have requirements that they need, and it's one of the services we like to provide, where with experience we can refer you and know that you can take care of a multitude of services that otherwise would put the weight of that onto the buyer or seller's shoulders. And as a realtor, that's one of the services we feel makes us more valuable and helps them get prepared to either purchase a home or to prepare to sell a home. So the business here is based a lot on, and there's a lot of movement. There's a lot of properties that are selling, and people are coming into Moore County in droves. So you should be very excited about the prospects.
Oh, we are. Thank you so much for that. We appreciate everything you do. Thank you.
That what's in front of you. The other thing I like is that you moved here, you made a leap of faith. Well, when you make a leap of faith, that's what I did when I moved here. and my back was sort of against the wall. I was in the costume jewelry business, and I switched gears and I switched careers, so I had nowhere else to go. And when you have that back against the wall mentality, you make it work, right?
We kind of go by what our shirts say, "In God we trust."
Yeah.
Yes.
You work
back of our
you work
shirts.
weekends as well.
Typically we don't.
Okay.
We may do a few, just depending on what kind of workload.
To grow the business out
Yeah.
here, we will be helping as much as possible just to get it going out here.
Yeah. What have you learned from what Moore County requires? Just in your brief experience talking with people.
Well, being honest, being trustworthy, being reliable.
Right.
That's huge. That's what we've learned out here is that people don't take, what would you say? People don't take, I can't think of the word, like they don't care about their work. They don't care that they put their name on just whatever. We actually, we
Right.
will not, do a job that we feel we can't do and we can't give it our all. We give it 100% or forget about it.
Yeah.
And we wouldn't do a job for anyone if we've never done it. I mean, if we've never done a job, we'll let people know, hey, we've never done one of these. But, with the knowledge we have, seems like we can do it.
Okay. Well, just in the home that we met at this morning, you're going to be doing some electrical work. You're going to be doing some pressure washing, possibly some landscape work. You're going to be doing some hauling. What else did we talk about? Replacing smoke alarms. I mean, it's a multitude of things that it adds up, but it just creates such an easy path. In this case, for the buyer who's going to move in, who's going to know that all these little things that the house requires will be addressed in a very timely manner.
Yes. Typically, we show up with our pickup and then a small trailer, and
Yeah.
it has all the tools you can imagine in it.
Right.
And we don't have to run around and go find a tool because we have it with us. But there are occasions where we just take the truck or the car on a smaller job.
Yeah. How long have you been in business? Because not just here, but in Arizona.
Arizona was about, I'd say, 11 years.
Yeah.
Total, we've been in business probably 30 years,
Is
35 years.
Is that right?
HUSBANDS2GO since 2005.
Okay.
It's a federally trademarked company, and same with the character. He's got a copyright on him, and just felt the need to do that years ago.
Yeah.
People have tried taking that name, and
Yeah. One of the things I was impressed with at your people skills as we went through this home this morning, we had a list already set up for you, but as we were walking through the home, we came up with a couple of other things. And I was noticing how the notes you were taking were very copious. You were being very specific. And then what I'm going to be doing is putting you in touch with the buyer, and then you're going to be meeting with her and then executing the plan. But I appreciated the fact you were writing down notes. You weren't just patting me on the back and saying, yep, yep, yep. So I saw that attention to detail, which, I try to maintain as well. So I think that those people skills, one-on-one, people will make a judgment about you very quickly. Are you credible? Are you straightforward? Are you about doing the right thing? Or are you just sort of saying yes, 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 and then you do what you do? But I got that. There's a quality to it, and I think you guys met that mark.
Thank you. We're very upfront. We don't hold back. We let you know exactly what's going on, so that way you don't have any questions. We like to answer everything right then and there.
Right.
Yes, that's huge to us. And taking notes, it's huge to us as well.
Yeah.
So we can go back on details and, getting to know people, knowing them by name is huge to us too. So.
Yeah. We Moore County is a place where referrals are very important. They're like gold, especially if they're done based on experience. And I think once you get yourself in the swing of things, I think you'll see a lot of referrals coming in, word of mouth. and you may have to work some weekends. You probably have those earmarked for travel to see your kids.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we stand behind our work. You know, I mean, we're human. If something isn't right, we'll make it right.
Right.
But I'd say probably 98% of the time, everything's right.
Yep.
We don't want to come back. So that's kind of how we work there. And
You have a little saying on your card, when there are days you can't depend on them, you can depend on us. I know people who will want to hold you to that, and that's a pretty good affirmation that resourceful and responsible brokers will look for. And I mean, I'm looking forward to working with you on different projects as we go. And yeah, I mean, I think it was great that you would come in. And if you want to give your contact information, if people want to get in touch with you, how would they do so right now?
you can go to the website, HUSBANDS2GO.com. And at the top of the page, you go to schedule an appointment. And that, once you fill out the calendar, it'll be we do it a few ways. It's a Zoom meeting. So basically, it'll go into a video meeting
Okay.
at your convenience, Monday through Friday. You can also call us at 520-508-1420. Ask for Sandy or Doug.
Okay.
And schedule an appointment that way. It'd probably be quicker if you go to the website,
Right.
and easier, because there might be times where we're stuck on jobs and we can't get away till a certain day. But when you go to the video meetings, we can look at your job every day. We just go out in the vehicle and do a meeting.
Yeah. I was very impressed with your website, and I know that a lot of it has to do with where you came from in Arizona. You probably will be tweaking it a little bit, but it was fairly intuitive. And we're not used to seeing, we have contractors sometimes who don't even know how to write an invoice. They just handwrite it, and then they text you a picture of it. Well, that's not so professional. And we have people who have requirements that go beyond that. And I think the impression that your website made gave me a lot of confidence right off the bat. Puts you ahead of the game a little bit.
Thank you. We appreciate that. Thank you.
Yes, we do.
That wasn't a compliment. That was a truth.
Well, thanks.
I mean, when you said, "Hey, look at my website," and I did, I was like, "Whoa!" I'm not used to that.
No.
So I don't want to wish you luck because I don't think you're going to need luck. I think you just need to do what you're doing, and I think in about 6 or 8 months, I'm going to call you and you're going to go, "Oh my God, Bill, can we reschedule?" No. The other thing I get about you guys is that you're very loyal, and that's I get in between the lines. So you have the right formulas to be successful in Moore County, and I wish you all the best.
Thanks, Bill. We appreciate you. Thank you so much.
We appreciate it, Bill.
Thanks, Doug. Thanks, Sandy. The name of the company is Husbands2GO. They're Pinehurst based, but they're available all over Moore County to talk with you about a multitude of services that people are looking for. This is All Things Moore County. Have a great week.